Soon.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our new Fanvil Solutions webinar with our presenter, Tommy Lee. We're going to give everybody a couple minutes here to join our webinar, and then we will get things kicked off here shortly. Can everybody hear myself okay? And we can have Tommy test his. I just want to make sure you can hear us if
Testing.
you want to.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, John.
It's like one big family here.
Yeah, right? So used to this. Like, am I on mute? Am I not on mute? I have about 7 headsets sitting at my desk, so I never know which one to choose.
Put them all on at the same time.
I may or may not have done that yesterday. I sent a picture to a colleague, said this is what multitasking looks like.
Exactly.
John says, "Hey, Tommy."
Hey, how are you?
You've got a fan in the stands here.
He's probably confusing me with Motley Crue, so.
I love it. Love it. I know, when we were talking about this roadshow, which I know everybody's on here, but we'll mention that. But I was afraid if I said Tommy Lee was going to be there, that people were going to think they were going to get a different Tommy Lee.
Yeah, a nerd with no tattoos. That's such an opposite, you know?
There you go. All right. Well, I think we have a good amount of people here, so we will get this kicked off for right now. I am going to mute. We have somebody on here. Let me mute that. All right. So I am Mary Cheney. I'm the marketing manager here at VoIP Supply, and I'm here with Tommy Lee with Fanvil. And today we're going to be presenting some amazing new solutions by Fanvil. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
During the presentation, there is a little Q&A button there. Feel free to use the chat function. The Q&A is a little bit more private, so if you have a question that you would like to ask us directly, Tommy and I can take a look at that towards the end of the webinar. But if you do have other questions throughout, you can feel free. We're a kind crew here. You can use that chat function, and we'll try to get to it probably more towards the end of the webinar. Next slide, please. And this is a little bit about our team here. I'm all the way in the back of that picture, but this is our awesome team here at VoIP Supply. We like to brag a little bit about ourselves, but we're pretty responsive. I definitely hold my team to a high standard for that. And then our tech support, we have an average of 14 minutes. Our sales team 9.3 minutes, and 99.9% of our orders ship the same day. So I think that's a pretty cool thing to put out there. And then our team of VoIP experts, if you don't already have an account manager, reach out to me. I can get you hooked up with one, but they are a wealth of knowledge. And then also working with our partners such as Tommy Lee, who is also a wealth of knowledge. You've got a pretty robust team behind yourself. Next slide, please. One really exciting thing that I wanted to highlight for everybody here is that we will be hosting and co-hosting a roadshow event series with Fanvil in October. We're going to be in Indianapolis, Columbus, and Pittsburgh. We're going to be eating some delicious steaks at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and learning about all the new products at Fanvil, but not only learning, but you get to have a hands-on experience and also meet Tommy Lee in person and one of our one and only Brian Hyrick. So I encourage you to check that out. The details are in that link. You'll get a copy of this presentation, and we'll make sure you have the link for this. So I hope you can join us. I think it's going to be a great time. It's meant to be a little bit more formal and interactive, so you get your hands on Fanvil products. Next slide, please. I think this is you, Tommy.
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate the great introduction, Mary.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time. Today, it's going to be interesting. You know, it's going to be an overview, but also an introduction of some of the new products that we have just introduced over the past week or two, quite frankly. And you could end up seeing them or getting a sneak peek at this slide and adding on to those road shows. I'll bring those things with me just in case. But if there's any specific questions that you might have, again, feel free to put on the questions. You know, Mary and I will stay here as long as possible to go ahead and address them. So with that stated, I'm just going to kind of go over all of these things and then give you a toolbox of the type of programs that we have in place to really be very partner-centric in enabling you to kind of explore for people who aren't familiar with us and just to try and test out our products moving forward. So the things I wanted to start off is very often when we go out, you know, people who aren't familiar with Fanvil, I like to just to show this general slide, and really our product category can be divided into almost 4 separate categories. We have a SIP desk phone place. You know, I won't talk into major details now, just as a quick overview. We have both business phones as well as a specific set of phones for just hospitality. And then beyond those phones, we also have SIP door access units. This is a really new introduction that we have. I'm starting to sprinkle in many of the new products that we have. We have the new i6 series, which is a brand new upgrade of our access solutions. All the devices that you see in front of you are all SIP based. And when I mean SIP based, that means whatever PBX you're working with out there, they will go ahead and interface with all of these devices. We have outdoor stations that are listed here. And as well, we've also expanded our indoor station. For people who've seen the slide before, we've updated some of the new slides that we've brought out and brought some things, and I'll talk about that too. Beyond that, we also have SIP intercoms, which is really a far more simpler device. We have devices with and without video on both indoor applications as well as hardened outdoor. Then last but not least, a very popular device is our PA devices. Those are our public announcement devices. You know, I always historically call this the Swiss Army knife of SIP, where you can just really convert any SIP call through an analog interface. And I'll talk a little bit about that in the slide. But when you tie all of these things in, there are partners out there who actually have PBXs that have provisioning tools on them. If you do, that's great, fantastic. If you don't have them, you know, Fanvil also provides a cloud-based device management system that you may want to kick around as well. We provide this free of charge to all partners. We can go ahead and send you off one where you can go ahead and actually download templates so that once you know how to provision one, then you can provision 1 to 100 or 1,000 phones, depending on how you want to do it. All that obviously interfaces with whatever PBX cloud server, whether it's in the cloud or local on-prem. Having stated that, let's just kind of dive in a little bit. When we introduced the new V series, I've got tons of questions of saying, hey, is the V series going to replace the XU? And the answer is absolutely not. I mean, our XU series and X series are still our core products. And there are reasons why, and I'll go ahead and remind those, you know, the people really quickly. The primary difference of our brand new V series is just an updated design. It's a little bit more contemporary, whereby we've actually integrated, at least on these top 3 models, integration of Wi-Fi as well as the Bluetooth technology integrated into the phone itself. Our old XU series didn't have Wi-Fi, but some of them do have Bluetooth moving forward. But one of the nice things about this one is the fact that we actually have a key line, which is something that really a lot of people love. It mimics many of the old legacy phones that it replaces. And not only do we have a key, like basically a BLF key here, but on the upper to the side screen, you can manage all of your call parking, your SIP lines, and your accounts on a whole separate screen. Because on some of the older designs, you might have a case where if you have numerous call parking type keys and a lot of SIP accounts, what happened to all of your front-facing BLFs? They're all gone. So we created a separate window on all of these devices on the XU. And of course, we also have the hospitality display. But the great thing about these access units is that both the XU as well as the V series is that we actually support H.264 on many of the top-end models so that you can actually see one-way video on your screen and be able to go ahead and access and provide people, access to open gates and stuff like that right from the phone itself. Here's just a little bit of highlight of the V series where I mentioned before. This one is an Android phone. It may or may not apply to you. So we've really tried to keep the number of SKUs minimal. This is really helpful to both VoIP supply as well as you. It's really, you know, premium, medium, and then unleaded, regular unleaded. Right here in the V62 provides all the basic tools that you really need. I wouldn't call it basic, but even the 62 has 6-party asynchronous audio conferencing. Gigi, it doesn't have necessarily a color screen, but it supports all of the other features. On the 64 is when the Wi-Fi and all that becomes baked into the actual phone itself. And if you want a little bit more bigger screen, you could have here which supports tilt screen and everything. Here is the Android here that comes with Android 9.0 that will give you a lot of flexibility in case you do have Android applications that you'd want to display up ahead. I'm not going to go into all the details, just kind of want to brush over the top. I could go ahead and do a deep dive moving forward anyhow. I'm not going to go over this screen, but you know, if you want a soft copy of this, go ahead and ask Mary for a soft copy. She'll send you a soft copy of this. The idea here is take a look at where these red stars are. These red stars really highlight where we exceed very often a lot of the competitive features that we have amongst everybody else. So that's what it is here. But if you notice all of them, you know, this is where you can actually divide everything, and you actually have Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, as well as all of them are Gigi devices that really support many of your baseline needs. Now on some of the XU series, I won't go over the BF, but then we tried to keep the number of SKUs to a minimum to really help you decide, as well as being able to do. This is what we call the all-inclusive feature, where all of these as well include Gigi, color, PoE, as well as Opus monitors. And right here, it really depends on what your end user needs. And the X3U really serves as our baseline model for people who just want you know, your classic dial tone with a few extra features, bubbling all the way up to our X6U, which actually has dual display. Now, keep in mind that the 4, 5, and 6 have displays that have several different windows here. And the great news, as I mentioned earlier, each one of them have different side keys, allowing you to put your SIT management as well as your parking keys separate from the call management, so that you actually have preservations of all your different features here moving forward. In addition to the XU, we also honor on all of our phones a 2-year warranty. But the great thing is that we also have custom branding, which is really nice. For those who actually can support a minimum order quantity of 200 or more, we can go ahead and instead of putting our name, you can actually have your company name branded on these phones. I won't go into the details, but this kind of gives you a quick understanding. And as well as myself, local support, you have me that's based in the States, and another person on the East Coast that also has our engineering, is our systems engineer group that will help you. In fact, we're bringing on another person effective October 1st. So now we're actually going to have 2 SEs and myself as well that has resources for both, you know, VoIP supply and yourself to go ahead and help you out with whatever projects that you have. This just talks a little about our rebranding for those that are interested. We have a neutral set of phones where we actually ship with a different type of display that allows you to put your logo right here. And again, typically the MOQ is 200 units, but you can go ahead and speak to Mary if you have even close or different variances. They may have some capabilities that might end up, you know, getting you lowering the threshold if necessary. One of the interesting things about our phones is that we don't necessarily have extender modules. We realize that people who put extender modules are typically assigned for the front desk. So we said, you know what, why not develop a phone designed specifically for the front desk? And the feedback that I get from many integrators and people installing is that you don't have to deal with dual firmware downloads as well as a cable, and as well as taking up a lot of horizontal space on a desk. We were able to couple 2 sidecars onto one platform, giving you really one phone with all of these different capabilities on a single platform. And when you couple cost-wise, it also costs less than buying all of those separate units and putting these things together out in the field. We have this as a button version, but we also have a touchscreen version too. I'm not going to show that to confuse you, but we always carry a touchscreen as well as a button version. Here's my little talk about I'll leave the phones and just have one slide to talk about our PA2. This is what I like to talk about as our SIP Swiss Army knife, where really where things like elevators, you know, if you upgrade a building, you might have an elevator or a lift box that has an analog device out there. You don't have to change that. You could actually put in this gateway where it could accept an extension or a DID and be able to to provide that output onto an external passive speaker that you might already have in place. Or in essence, you know, you might have a button that you might go in to actually trigger as a doorbell, and you can trigger many different things, and as well as alarms, ring amplifiers, etc. I mean, if you want to talk about the applications, this also has an onboard relay, so it does have the capability of clicking and opening doors as well. So it's everything kind of in the box, but it's basically has our SIP core located right in the middle. And obviously the last but not least is our hospitality series. Sorry about the little lines there. This is one of my discoveries, but we develop a line that's specific for hospitality, for those who are interested in hospitality. Our big differentiator here is that we have a display that has a soft key, a soft display, which is great because for many hotels, you have a hard key that you may have additional phones to replace it, but then you have to deal with the faceplate. But of course, we also have the faceplates as well. And all of these come in both black and white with onboard Wi-Fi as well. Now some of our new series, which we just rolled out, which is our i6 series. These are our door access buttons, and we're actually coming up with some newer ones with much larger displays, but these actually provide access control with video. All are SIP endpoint devices with different keypads, as well as latest RFID readers here. We have this generation, but we also have the i3 generation. Both of them will work in parallel depending on what type of external conditions you have. All of these on the top are really designed for outdoor use, but we kind of made them to be a little bit more friendlier in the residential atmosphere, because these look a little too hardened to be like for hard design for like a parking lot application or something outdoors. But these look a little bit more refined to be, you know, located in your front door. We'll show a few examples of that moving forward. Then of course we have intercoms that actually cater to for indoor intercoms. So we have with and without video, single button, dual buttons. Again, this is just a small fraction of the type of solutions that we have out there that we could bring forth and that we can show you the different things that we have. Again, all of these are SIP endpoints moving forward. One of the new things that we've done is actually enhance some of our indoor stations. And one of the things we've done is released a new i55A as well as the i57A. Both of these are Android devices, and similar to our front desk phones, we have them both with video, with buttons, and without buttons. This is a little closer display. Both of these are Android devices, and they can be used for hallway messaging, all these type of things, or you could be used for indoors, as we've shown before, that's sitting behind a couch, where you can actually see the person here displayed, and you can tell inside your house or in an office building or in a hallway, you know, messages or who's at the front door. And then we provide both a button screen output where we have some buttons here, or you could have one solid screen where the only interface is through a touch screen showing here. And these are two things that's gaining a lot of popularity from the people who've seen them before on our website. And both of them are armed with Android 9.0 operating system, which kind of brings you up to the latest offering in terms of embedded Android systems here. And these is not the thing. These will also couple with many of the lower key Linux devices that we have here, because many people out there don't need Android and don't necessarily want to pay extra. If your application is far simpler, I would look at the i53 and 52. The difference between the 52 and 51 is display, but when you look at these two, the 53 provides a touchscreen, giving you the capability of providing additional keys here. But what all of these devices are really reformatted, in essence, phones with the handset taken away, because all of these have Wi-Fi already integrated into them. And beyond that Wi-Fi integration, it provides a very simple interface, allowing a user just to operate with 5 keys. Here is just 5 keys only. Here's with 5 keys with some additional touchscreen that does very simple things. And you can really think about many of the odd applications that these things fit in moving forward. So it provides with easy installation, as well as being able to, for these units here, can also mount on a desk. This would just be a quick example of the type of things you would do where we have a packaging. Person can sit up and provide access in the front, and the person internally can actually see who it is. And not only just see one, but it does have a camera selection capability so that if you have a camera in the front, back, in the parking lot, and doing all these things, you can actually select and see which one you want to do as a passive multi-camera thing. And these things accept all H.264 video codecs. So any third-party camera or even our camera who streams VGA quality video would be able to be seen on our units themselves. So they're just not made for Fanvil. And the whole idea of SIP, it's just really to be standardized amongst the units. And all of the units that I've shown can really be interfaced through our device management. And we also work with many of the high-tech PBX switch providers to be part of their PBX systems as well. Now, some of the new things. One of the things that you'll be hearing from us is that we're coming out with a Wi-Fi phone. And you're going to hear a lot more about this coming soon, but this is a great Wi-Fi phone that complies with many of the durable IP67 and all those things, durability. But the great news is that it could support up to 4 SIP accounts on one mobile phone. That really is unique in terms of Wi-Fi phones, and that's something that we bring to the case. And now you're going to hear a lot more about this, but it's here available for you to reach out to in the future. And that's where we're coming in, and we should have our pretty much stock displayed a little bit more by, latter part of this month, as well as October timeframe when these things will be available in production in our channels. Beyond that, we also come up with one device that's not necessarily SIP centric, and this is a CS30 speakerphone. What Fanvil really found is that many people who are offered company issued laptops and things like that, they're typically of mid-grade or on the lower end, where what you end up having is a great interface for one person. But what we find very often is that a person like myself who travels a lot, it's great if I were to do a one-on-one conversation, but if you're going to have a small huddle meeting, the microphone only points one way and everybody has to hide behind one screen. What this does is a very lightweight palm speakerphone that you could just put out there, and now you have a full omnidirectional 360 degrees with 4 mics that will enable you to really capture all the mics so that people can go ahead and provide it. But like its bigger brothers, it'll also have all the classic noise reduction so that it's been optimized for voice. So I've used this clearly in the past where you can use this and you can hear it's been optimized for voice quality and reproduction, as well as microphone input very clearly. And this really does fit in the palm of your hands and can, provide you with really a wide direction for small things. I'm not going to go into it, but with this, we have a range of about 5 meters, or should I say about 10 to 15 feet from it. So it's not meant for a huge executive conference cable, but for small huddles, it really is ideal and lightweight enough so that you can carry around. And on that speaker, we have a promotion that we have through November 30th, that if you want to go ahead and buy 10 pieces of the V6465, we'll go ahead and throw one of those speakers in for free. You want to buy more, we'll go ahead and add that on. This is something that our partners in the channel really are complying with, and we also have other speakers that you can go ahead and refer to as well. You could speak to Mary for additional details on this. Beyond that, we also have project rebate programs, whereas if you have orders of 50 and above, you can go ahead and really register your program here. This is almost like a registration program where we get them in. And for these target type of displays or devices, if you have 50 or more, you could start getting sort of rebates back, and which will also lessen your cost to the end customer as well. This is just a contact tool, and where you could find a lot of our tech support documentation, our local tech support for Hector or even myself for your reference. And that's where you can go ahead, you can get a soft copy of this from Mary moving forward. And the last but not least, for those who are really interested, we run a great test drive or NFR sample program where you can actually bundle. We typically bundle a low end and a high end, or a medium end to a high end, and all these different combinations here, so that at a very low one-time price. We have them both for our XU, our V series, as well as a combination with our door access and indoor station units right below. Okay, so that's kind of what we have. moving forward to you as a quick thing. And I just want to sort of open up for questions that anybody might have. I'll throw the floor back onto Mary in case you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Tommy. We did actually have a question, and that is in the Q&A area. Tommy, I don't know if you can see that. If not, I can read it to you.
Yeah, if you could read that to me, that would be
Sure.
great.
Yeah, it's from John, and he said, are there 3 CX templates for the new door access, intercoms, and PA devices?
Yes, in fact, we have the new PA, the PA3 I know is on it. And I do know that they've also designed it. I don't know the list off the top of my head, but they should be listed on the V62 and the V64 are already on the released version today. The V65, which would be the tilt screen version, will be on the next release of the software. So the answer is yes. You can go over to the IP, IP phone list, and you can actually see our devices listed under not only phones, but door peripherals and things like that, and you can go ahead and see it there.
Thank you, Tommy. And then Greg said the new interface on the i57A looks really nice. Will the older i56A get a firmware update to that new interface?
Actually, the i56A and the i57A have the same operating system, to be frank with you. They both contain the same. It's just that aesthetically, the i57A has kind of a sidebar. The great plus about the sidebar, it has more of an integrated indicator. I could go back, but if you actually look at our website, we've added an extra sort of a sidebar with an indicator so that if you were to go away and come back, you'll actually see a flashing light if it did receive a message, whether or not you got a call or somebody rang your doorbell or some activity happened. There would be an activity thing that would blink. The i56A does it, but in more of a generic red LED light, whereas this one's a little bit more integrated. Aesthetically wise, the i57A kind of looks a little less like an iPad and looks a little bit more of a how would you say, an exterior design change, but the internal operating system are the same in both of them.
Thank you very much. And we actually did a couple unboxing videos of those new, the i55A and the i57A. I was able to get my hands on them, and they are really awesome. So again, if you're able to join us at one of the road shows, we'll definitely have samples of those. And I'm throwing the roadshow event link right in the chat here, so you can use that to register. But really cool products. And the other point Tommy touched upon was the faceplates too. I think something that we can offer to some of our partners, especially you guys that are here on this webinar with us. We can actually do a minimum of 25 units. So if you have somebody that wants to do small customization, we are able to actually do smaller runs for you here within VoIP Supply. So you would work directly with me and your account manager on that. But that's, I think, a bit of a unique service that we offer along with Fanvil products. So if you're interested in that, just reach out to us. You can reply back to the email that you're going to get with this presentation in there, and I can get you more information on that. But Tommy, that is all the questions that have come in so far. I don't think there's anything else.
Yep. If anybody has questions, you have both of our contacts. If you have a soft copy of this, feel free to reach out to Mary and myself, and we'll be here to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, looks like oh, you're welcome, Matt. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we will be in touch. And like Tommy said, reach out to us if you have any other questions. It was great having you all here. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.